Ben, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Goedemorgen.
Wow, and it sounds real.
I've been practicing.
Goed hoor. Welcome to the band as well. Thank you guys for being here. When we listen to your music, well, there's a lot happening in your music. I mean, you can sing a proper ballad, but you can also, there's also like folk in your music and that klezmer.
Yeah.
And you really know how to tell a story, and it's raw and it's heartfelt. So you can feel that you really love this music.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where did this passion come from?
Well, I think, I've always been excited about music. I remember from a young age just hearing certain songs that would just make me feel all kinds of feelings. You know, I was interested from a young age to get up on stage and to express, to try to recreate those feelings that music gave to me.
You grew up in a Jewish community.
I did, yeah.
In Hamilton, Canada.
That's right.
But
yeah.
Was there a lot of music in your community? And what kind of music? Was that also was that Jewish music mostly?
So I didn't really have a lot of a Jewish musical education. There was a lot of like Israeli folk music, which I think is actually kind of not very good. A lot of this like 1960s stuff with like a lot of 1/5 bass and sounds really bad. So I didn't really have a lot I didn't have a sense that Jewish music was exciting. You know, it was just maybe some melodies that I heard in the synagogue sometimes, but it wasn't anything that seemed to me that had anything to do with Ray Charles or with this other music I was listening to. And it was actually, I was traveling when I was maybe 21 years old, and I heard this band playing in the streets of Antwerp, this sort of Balkan-style brass band. And I recognized something in the melodies that was very familiar to me. It brought me back to these kinds of sounds that I'd heard in the synagogue, but that I'd never heard as music before. And that began for me a process of exploring the kinds of Eastern European folk sounds and Jewish folk sounds and finding ways of incorporating that in the songwriter tradition that I was already experimenting with.
Yeah. Because what would you say are the biggest similarities between that Balkan sound and the sounds you heard in the synagogue?
Well, I think there's a lot of similar musical modes, a lot of similar scales. The harmonic minor scale caught my ear early on, and there's the Phrygish scale, it's called. And just hearing those sounds, suddenly they were intuitive to me, but they weren't really in most of the pop music that I was hearing.
Can you sing an example for me? Is that hard?
No.
Yeah, you feel that immediately.
Yeah, it does something to me. And so when I was writing songs, I wanted to put those intervals in and find ways of putting them into. But I didn't want to go become a folk musician, pick up a trumpet and join a brass band. I was really into Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell, Neil Young. These were my big idols, Paul Simon. Yeah. And so I wanted to try to take those sounds and incorporate it into the kind of songwriting that was exciting to me.
Yeah. And that created actually your own sound. Yeah.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. Let's talk about that sound and your album, Old Stock, which came out this year, and it originally started as Old Stock, a refugee love story.
That's right, yeah. So the project started as a musical, as a theater piece. And as we were beginning to write the songs for the music theater piece, I really like musical theater, but there's a certain kind of musical theater that I really hate. And it's the kind when all of a sudden, for no reason, people are just singing and you can't understand why they're singing. I'm going to the store to buy some coffee. No, you would just say that to a person. Why are you singing? And so I wanted to try to write a musical where there would be songs that work as songs that could be like cool, interesting songs that you might want to listen to without having to watch people singing and dancing on a stage.
But what do you mean, like that you would tell a story and there's only music when in real life there would be music as well?
No, well, sort of, in a way. We tried to build a bit of a conceit that, it's sort of the play acts as a sort of fusion of a few different worlds, and I am a sort of storyteller, a mischievous kind of narrating character. So we made sense of the music that way. But also in the songs, we wanted to write songs that would work in a theater context, but that also you could maybe put on and just listen to on its own.
Yeah.
That it's not, we tried to write songs that are commenting on the emotional subtext rather than moving the plot forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And about the emotional context, let's talk about the what it means. I mean, the story behind Old Stock. Because when I look at this cover, I mean, obviously I see you there, but what is happening in the back here, and how does it relate to old stock?
Yeah, we tried to find an image that would give us a sense, a feeling of arriving in a new place, or of people in motion. And so we're telling the story in this play of two Jewish Romanian refugees who go to Canada in 1908.
Okay.
And so they're fleeing these pogroms, these sort of violent episodes that were quite common in the late 19th century and early 20th. And the reason that we got into telling that story was because, well, first we decided we'd make something. We didn't know what we were going to make, and we were thinking about the different kinds of stories we could tell with this play. And as we were engaged in that exercise over the course of some months, we saw the scale began to emerge of the Syrian refugee situation. This image of the young child, Alan Kurdi, who washed up on a beach in Turkey. Just seeing that image, it made me think this is a story that I think I'd like to bring my attention to, and to try to bring more thought to. And I just saw in the media and even within politics, there was this dehumanizing factor in the way that people were talking about waves of people.
Yeah.
And I thought, people are not waves. People are individuals. People have their own stories, their own dreams, their own trauma, and et cetera. So I thought it would be useful to take a story from 1908 of people who, in Canadian society, are seen as being part of Canadian culture now. And to use the story of them from 100 years ago, to think about the moment when people were saying the same things about them as is being said now about people from Syria, from Iraq, from Lebanon. And so that was the inspiration, to try to just discover the humanity of people who have to leave one place and go to another.
You're going to do another song for us. How you do that?
We're going to take it up one notch, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
We'll do a big one. Is that all right?
So the people at home should be ready for...
Yeah, like turn down the volume, maybe just one notch, because we're going to get loud.
All right. Curious now. Thank you so much. Ben Caplan.
Thank you so much.